Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the Musical Connections podcast. I am your host, Zach Snow. This is the last episode of the podcast for 2024. And from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say to you guys out there that have been watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast on your favorite streaming services, thank you so much for supporting the music of Newfoundland and Labrador. And you out there, if you're watching, you are a big part of my mission of growing our Newfoundland and Labrador music sector, one song at a time. Well, joining me today, it feels like an Erin's Pub Christmas because these guys just released their first single under Military Road in a very long time. It is called an Erin's Pub Christmas. And joining me now to talk all about that and more, Andrew LeDrew and Kalem Mahoney. How you doing, brother?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good, Zach. Good to be here.
And thanks so much again for coming on. We've been trying to set this up for a couple of weeks now, Andrew.
Yeah.
And we were trying to figure out, was it going to be just you? Was it going to be the two of you? And we got both of you guys here. Welcome aboard.
Yes, thanks.
Good to be here.
So, right off the hop here, a brand new song. It's called An Erin's Pub Christmas. And I'd imagine you spent some time at Erin's Pub writing this, I would imagine. So tell me a little bit about the brand new song. Andrew, we'll start with you.
Well, I wrote it, I guess I wrote it about a year ago. And it was originally supposed to be just a song about Erin's Pub and a tribute to our friend Ralph O'Brien, who used to own Erin's Pub and played in so many, in Sons of Erin and on his own. And anyway, I wanted to make a tribute to him. So I asked Kalem, I was like, let's go in the studio and see if and bang it out. And then when I passed, I asked Robert Kelly to play bass on it. And he came back and said, this should be a Christmas song. So I was like, yeah, after 20 seconds, I was like, yeah, it could be. So I went and changed the lyrics and made it a Christmas song. So we went into the studio to record it.
So what was it like, producing this, Kalem? Because I believe you did co-produce this with Robert Kelly.
Well, myself and Andrew actually pretty much, and Scott Hammond pretty much did this one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, Robert played on it, but most of the time it was myself and Andrew and Scott that were there.
Okay, so what was it like recording this song?
It was a lot of fun. Of course, I was in Gearbox with Scott Hammond, so we're brothers, It's great to spend time together with him. He's so good at what he does, and it was just a really good song, too. But it was interesting when Robert suggested that because it really did lend itself to.
Yeah.
And I mean, when Ralph had Erin's Pub, we used to hang out down there on Christmas Eves. We go every Christmas Eve till around 4 or 5 in the day and stuff. So it meant a lot to me to do it because there was a lot of memories and stuff involved in it.
Oh, for sure. And what Ralph started back in the mid-1980s and what has become today, I mean, if it weren't for Erin's Pub, you probably wouldn't be seeing O'Reilly's Pub or Shamrock City or Broderick's these days. It really was, Ralph was really a trailblazer in that it's bringing the first Irish pub here to Newfoundland and Labrador. And all the love in the world right now to Ralph. He's not doing so well right now, but we love you, buddy. Hope you're doing great. But he's currently going through a battle with dementia, I believe, right?
Early onset or something like he's in a home right now. So this, but he's in good spirits, and just like anything this early onset, like comes and goes. But I mean, we had a visit with him last week, and
last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday, yeah, and he knew, he knew us, and he was in good spirits and stuff like that. So it's just, yeah. So for trying to support him, and I know a bunch of other musicians go down and see him too. Chris Andrews and the guys, and there is a lot of support for him. So so it's nice to go down and reminisce. When we were down there, I put up YouTube videos on my phone of Sons of Erin, all the old days and everything, and he seemed to enjoy that. So
yeah, I believe the Sons of Erin TV shows now are on NTV Plus.
Oh, is that right?
And you can watch those back. So next time you see him, you should show him that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. I'd like to see. I'd like to check that out.
But Ralph, if you're out there, if you're seeing this, Jody, if you're watching this, love to you all, and Godspeed, guys. Yeah. Now, of course, you guys have been playing together for many, many years. Of course, Kalem, you're a force in the music scene. You've played in Gearbox back in the 90s, and you've produced albums for Alan Ricketts and Mike Hanrahan. And you actually written some songs for Great Big Sea. Mm-hmm. So I want to start with you first on when it comes to how you got into music first. What started this all for you?
I went to school with the guys at Gearbox. We all went to school when we were in kindergarten. We met then, and we just happened to have like a common interest in it. So we were only 13 or 14 when we started rehearsing, just for a concert at school, like some sort of a production that they had. And we just decided that we start writing a bit, and it was almost by accident, but it became intense, and I can't imagine not doing it. It's like it's not even, I don't even consider it to be a job, really. It's just sort of what happens. But, that was the thing. We were only 13 or 14 when we started rehearsing. Put out an album when we were 17, our first album.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Touring, bought a van, toured around all over the place and stuff, which seems kind of crazy now, but we did. But from school, from Brother Rice, or in St. Bon's and Brother Rice, that's how we really got together.
So is that what the title of St. Bon's, the most recent Gearbox EP you guys put out, was that what it was inspired by?
We recorded that at St. Bon's.
No way!
St. Bon's, about 20 years ago. And it was unreleased. And so when we did the Iceberg Alley reunion this past summer, we just decided to put it out because there was not even really a digital platform when those albums came out.
Yeah, because digital platforms, like, it was about a few years when Gearbox was really touring heavily, that Napster was only really starting to come to play here as like a way to put your music out there illegally, I might add. But it's digital streaming services before the Spotify and Apple Music. It's really just a way to get your music illegally. But a lot of things have changed since then.
Well, I mean, like I said, it was none of that Gearbox stuff was available online until this past summer because we just didn't do it because it wasn't even a thing. So it's changed quite a bit, obviously, in the last 20 years. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Now, Andrew, you're different here. I mean, you're in a musical family. Your brother, Chris LeDrew, and yourself, you've played in the group Brothers in Stereo. You had one album which spawned great songs like Your Voice, and the song I love from you the most is The Worst Crowd.
Thanks.
What was it like growing up in a family of musicians, especially, being around your brother and whatnot?
I mean, it was okay.
Not the worst.
No, it was fine. It was quite normal growing up with two older brothers. I got made fun of a lot and picked on. But I'm 5 years apart from Chris and 7 years apart from Ron. So like I can't really remember when I was a kid, like different parts. But I mean, yes, it was it was fine. It was normal. I got into the music that they loved, and kind of the music that my dad loved too. But my dad wasn't really a band guy. He was more of a one-hit wonder, one guy, So he used to have all these albums of all the hits and everything, and that's what I love that, and that's what I have in common with my father. We both do like the shiny, polished pop songs of the '60s and stuff like that. But I got into Bob Dylan and the Byrds and the Beatles through Chris and Ron for sure, right?
So, for sure.
Yeah.
And you say Ron Jr., I might
Ron
add.
Jr., yes.
And then Ron Sr. is the station manager at VOWR, which I'm also a volunteer of. Shout out to you, Ron. Shout out to you, boss.
Yeah, there you go, buddy.
And, of course, their influences really ring through, and it really shines through in the music that you guys have put out, and especially on your new album, Unusual Miracle.
Yeah.
Unusual Miracle or Miracles?
Miracles is the name of the album, and Unusual
Miracle.
Miracle is one song on it. I know. I got to make it confusing all the time.
Oh, yes, for
That's
sure.
what I got to do. Yeah.
Now, Kalem, what about your influences?
Well, they're broad, There's all kinds of things, like, Tom Petty, Pogues. I listen to all kinds of different music, and I still do. Even when I was younger, I did as well. I mean, it was Doors. I loved the Doors when I was growing up.
Wow.
All kinds of things. I was into metal and stuff too. Hip hop. I was into like a very broad section. Yeah.
Totally. Now, how did this whole military road group start? And I'll go to you, Andrew, for this one.
When was it? 2007? Probably somewhere around 2007. Yeah, well, we all knew, we just all hung out together way, before that. I mean, myself and Kalem met in 99, I think, or 98 or something like that, when I was living in Halifax. And Gearbox played a gig with us, and that's where we met. Then I moved home in 2000.
Somebody blew up one of your amps.
I think it was Scott. Scott blew up one of our amps, and then
wow,
and friendship started.
Thanks, Scott, for that.
Yeah. So in 2000, I moved home, and Chris got me a solo gig at my brother Chris at the Rose and Thistle, and after that, he goes, "Now you're on your own." So I just started booking. I just started doing solo gigs, and became friendly, and just met up with Kalem again, and we started hanging out, and through him, I met Mike, Robert, my cameraman, Robert Kelly. Through Erin's Pub, really, because all these guys, everybody be gigging, doing solo gigs or band gigs all over Water Street and George Street. But we always seem to congregate down at Erin's Pub, and did so for years, right? So we decided just let's get a 4-piece on the go and see how it goes, and it was quite easy, and and so we played for I don't know how many years, 4 years or something, maybe 3 or 4 years.
It's been a while now, though, right?
Oh my
Must be
God,
like
yeah.
10 years ago or so.
Yes, it's definitely 10 years. It's over 10 years since we played.
Mm-hmm.
So it was nice doing this, especially for the subject matter of the song, to get everybody together to do the Erin's Pub song, Erin's Pub Christmas with the guys, and call it Military Road rather than just. I didn't really want to. I mean, I was originally going to do it as a solo, as myself, just to put it out. But it would have been a better song with these guys in it, you know.
Oh yes.
So so that's what we did.
Yeah, and it really comes back to that connection you've had with Ralph O'Brien when all of you guys were gigging at Erin's Pub, either together or solo, one way or the other. And it's that love, which really I think it gets lost during this time of the year because we're all like about the Christmas machine and getting gifts under the tree, but like. For real though, love is really all we need during this time of the year because it gets lost.
Yes,
really,
love and patience. Yeah,
exactly. Love and patience. That's exactly what it is.
That's one of the things about the song, though, too. Is it's real. It's not because it's an idea that it was all based on experience because we've all been close to Ralph. He was great. He's very close friends with my father, so I've known Ralph since I was very young.
So you were drinking down to Erin's Pub since you were 12, right? There's a few beers snuck to you when you were back in.
Well, it was not quite. It was a bit older than 12, but. But we used to go there after Gearbox gigs. I remember we used to play at Junctions and come down over the pop into Ralph's and stuff. But it is just very believable because it's true. You know, that's the thing about this song. That I've listened to it a bunch of times since it's been done, and that usually I don't do that much.
Yeah.
But I still listen to it all. I enjoy it. You know, I enjoy listening to it. It's because it has it's very real.
For sure. And again, that's something that's really missed during this time of the year where we're all focused on getting that one gift for that special someone. We also got to focus on, that someone we have in our lives and hold them on as much as we can because you never know when it could be gone like that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you're supposed to think that way anyway, really.
Oh, absolutely. But it gets, overblown or oversaturated.
Yeah,
this
see,
time
I'm not
of the year.
I like Christmas, and I love Christmas. Well, I have 2 kids, and I love Christmas for the kids and stuff. But I mean, there is always lurking in the back of my mind that people are, this time of year could be super stressful for people, and
oh yes,
people with, just financially anyway, with loved ones lost and all that stuff. So it's like I take Christmas with I do it for the kids.
Oh
and,
yes,
and you got to get together with some friends you haven't seen in a while, and Erin's Pub is a great spot to do that. We always done that, right? So,
well, like I said, Christmas Eve, Ralph would always open from around 12 until 5, and it was sort of like the regulars or friends and stuff. And he'd
be jammed.
Yeah, and he'd be singing Christmas carols and things. It was beautiful, and all that stuff doesn't seem to exist anymore.
Yeah,
and it was a great memory.
So why don't you think that these days? Why don't you think that exists anymore?
I don't know.
COVID.
Well, that could be.
That definitely has something to play into it.
Yeah, well, people don't go out, don't do that. I guess they do it with their own families.
Well, they watch it on their
friends.
phone. They watch Christmas carols on their iPhones and stuff. They don't do it. They just watch it. So I don't know. It's just the way of the world, I think, a little bit too. But those are great memories. That was beautiful down there in those days.
I seen a photo the other day about there was a photo that of course it's digitally made. And but there was this comparison photo from 1989. Everyone was at the table. Everyone was having a good time. They were talking with each other. And then you go to 2024. Everyone's on their phones.
Yeah, I mean, there's a disconnect. Back then you didn't. I mean, even back when we had flip phones at the bars, we weren't even at them. You know what I mean? It was just back. Back then it was way better for.
Plus, people could afford to do it as well. I mean, that's a big thing too. I mean, it's not to complain about it, but it's a reality.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not complaining unless you can. It's kind of feels bad for me to say, like, back it up in a sense, because, like, if you don't have the money, you can't really afford to go, spend a night out in the town, having dinner with a friend or going to a concert and, supporting local music. It's hard to do that these days because there's so much of it and there's so little money to go around.
Oh my God! Like if you, just say if you go to a Christmas Eve to any pub in town now from 1 to 5 in the afternoon, you're spending $200-$300.
Yeah.
But back then it was
All your
$50. All your gifts. Honest to God, right? Yeah.
But that's a different conversation for a different time. But
Yes,
of course,
that's right, yeah.
This is something we could do like a round table for.
Yeah.
Like the cost of living for being a musician. And that's why, like,
Yeah, let's not get into that.
no, absolutely. And that's why, like, day jobs, especially
need 2 days. We have to
No,
take a
absolutely.
sleeping bag down.
But that's why, like, especially when I'm talking to a lot of musicians over the course of the podcast this past year, a fair amount of them have day jobs because they can't really afford to be a full-time musician because it costs a lot to really, like, go all in with it.
It does, yeah. I mean, I've worked Canada Post right through. I've been there 17 years, and I've always, but I like the job and stuff like that. But I've always needed that as well, because was kind of like Kalem too. Like when we played on George Street, we kind of got away with playing our own stuff, right? But a lot of our friends did it for like a living. Do that they can play 4 or 5 nights a week to the music that that people want to hear, but people are used to, and they can make a living at it or whatever. But we've always played gigs and just did our own stuff and then mixed some covers in, and we were able to do that. And not a lot of people were doing that back then, right?
I think one thing about it too is you need to have many irons in the fire. You need to have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Work on a theater show, work on produce albums, work on a documentary here and there, and do a gig. You need to have a bunch of things going on, so you need to be quite busy all the time.
Was it always that way though, versus like when you guys were regularly touring back in the 90s and 2000s?
Well, you worked on a lot of theater stuff, and
I did. I worked on a lot of stuff with the Rising Tide Theater. I did all that while Gearbox was happening and stuff. But it was a little bit different. We were a pretty popular band, and we made pretty okay money because a lot of people came to our gigs and stuff. It wasn't like a regular sort of show up and bash it out sort of thing. It was a bit more of a happening. So it is quite different. Now I haven't played in very much in the last few years, so I don't know exactly what's going on.
Yeah, because mainly you've been sticking to the producing side of things.
Yeah.
What about you, Andrew? Has much changed since then?
Since the
like,
military road stuff?
No, slow. I want to go back to like the 2000s, like when you were regularly touring with Brothers in Stereo. Like, was it?
Well, we toured. Well, Brothers in Stereo, we put that out in 2003. We toured a little bit 2004, and by 2005 we were home really. And when I made a solo album. And I got a job at Canada Post, so I was just playing around from Thursday to Sunday, and working my job through the week. So I mean, that was my thing. I wasn't really, that's what I was up to. With Brothers in Stereo, we just we did a small tour up to Ontario and Eastern Canada and stuff like that.
But it seems like having a day job is not necessarily a bad thing if you're a musician, because you need that to survive.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's just a lot of people, too. And the other thing, too, is there's a lot of talented musicians in this province that have day jobs. Doesn't matter anymore. There was a time at one point where it was just like, you got a day job, you're not doing the true artist thing, which was kind of like...
Well, even working on music all the time is still a day job. You know what I mean? It's just that it happens to be to be music.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Now, how long before you guys, got back together and made an erinspub Christmas, how long did you have Military Road on the go for?
3 or 4 years. Well, this was 3 or 4 years, yeah.
Yeah, it was, we played... Yeah, I don't think it was much longer than that.
Yeah, so we played weddings, played Erin's Pub.
Played Ralph's wedding, actually.
Yes.
Ralph and
Oh, wow.
Joey's wedding. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a good night. I remember that.
Yeah.
So is this really the main reason why you guys got back together now to record this song?
No, I just thought it'd be great to get the guys all together for just for this song. Try to get everybody in the studio and make a Military Road song. Like we were him and Han about getting strings on it, or maybe getting whistles and all this stuff. And we're just like, well, let's just keep it to four of us. And then when we came in with Scott Hammond to do it and whatever, I mean, it was pretty clear within the first night that it was going to sound really, really good. So it was like we were fine with. All I wanted to do was what we wanted to do was get the guys together and just do this one, and maybe it might turn into something else. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it was interesting though, because it was as things have turned out, it was a tribute to Ralph, but it wasn't as timely as it might seem. It was just something that Andrew was planning on doing anyway. It's just that it's nice to give it to Ralph now. He needs to get his flowers.
Oh, big time. He's, again, one of the big trailblazers of Newfoundland and Labrador music. When him and Dermot, Fergus, and Gary all emigrated to the province, Ralph really made his name here. And with the Sons of Erin, they were one of the biggest Irish bands to come out of Ireland to make themselves home here. And they're legends, really. And Ralph's a legend, too. Like, and there's a Newfoundland and Labrador Music Hall of Fame. Again, he'd be a first ballot because he is a trailblazer in every way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And like you said earlier with the pub and everything too. I mean, that was first place to have Guinness in Newfoundland and all this.
What?
Yeah, Erin's was, yes.
No way.
Yeah.
Is it a bad thing if I don't like Guinness?
No, geez, no.
I've had Guinness once and I didn't like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's heavy. It's heavy, and it's not. No, it's not a bad thing. I don't particularly. I'll have it every now and then. I find it heavy though. Look, it's just,
yes, I'm going to judge you over that.
I don't.
I'll take it.
Like I'm sure there's other trad musicians out there that don't like Guinness. That's for sure.
But again, the impact and the snowball effect that it had on our music scene too. You wouldn't have bands like Great Big Sea or the Irish Descendants or the Masterless Men or the Celtic Connection or the Punters come out of that pub. And, subsequently when pubs like O'Reilly's and Greensleeves and Broderick's and all these other pubs that are home to performers who play Irish and Newfoundland traditional music on a nightly basis, where would they be without Erin's pub?
Well, they all started there. That's where it was.
All those guys.
All of them that you just mentioned started at Erin's.
Yeah, and we were all amongst these people too, right? Like we're all... we all partied with them, and we're all. If they were playing down there, we'd check them out. If they, if we were, they do the same. Plus with the session and the session that went on earlier in the afternoon and stuff. It was just it was a great vibe. It's just something. I know the session still goes on and stuff, but I mean, I don't know if it's the same vibe as there. It'd be great, if that came back with a kind of new generation. But
a lot of things came from Erin's.
Yep.
I mean, even the Gearbox Fergus O'Byrne collaboration all came from there, pretty much. You know what I mean? All that. So, and you could go in. Ralph he gave a lot. He gives a lot. Yep. He helped people out. He give them gigs when he knew that they needed them and things.
Well, he gave me and my cousin Barry LeDrew. He was the drummer in Brothers Stereo. He gave us a gig down at Erin's when there was nobody playing what we were playing. Usually it was just, not strictly now, but it was mostly traditional music or in all the sessions and stuff. But he loved how me and Barry sang with our harmonies, and he gave us a gig down there. So we were the only ones really doing old Buddy Holly and Beatles songs. Because he hired us because he liked their harmonies. And, Dermot will probably be down there saying the same thing. He used to love me and Barry singing all the old Buddy Holly songs and stuff, and he gave me a gig there, because I was like, most of the musicians down there were all traditional musicians, and me, and I just hung out with all these guys because they were my friends, and that's the scene I like to be in. Right?
Listen, if there's one thing we know about Ralph O'Brien and also about the late Dermot O'Reilly, God bless him, he's a good spotter of talent.
Yeah.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Now, I'm going to stick with you for a second, Andrew, because you released your first album, I believe since 2013, 2014. It's called Unusual Miracles, and I got to play one of the songs on the podcast. Yeah. So I want to go to you first, and I'll go to you because you helped produce this record as well. Yeah. How did it feel to have all new music out for the first time in what seemed like almost a decade?
It was good. It was the right time to do it, too, and thankfully got some funding to do it, so I asked Kalem right away, I was like, will you produce it? He was like, yeah, let's do it. And it took a couple years, but it's just we did it at our own pace. I utilized the funding that I got to get all the musicians in town that I wanted on this, which I've been accused of before on Fair Winds, of using only the best musicians to my advantage. And I'm like, well, yeah, this is what I'm doing.
Yes, because you want it to sound as great as you want it to be.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I could have done it myself with a couple of guys and my brother. Hey, Chris would have came in and played on all of it if I asked him to. So yeah, I utilized the funding, and I got Paul Kinsman, Jeff Panting, like you name it. I got a bunch of people in to help me make this album. And over a span of a year and a half, 2 years, we did it, and we came out with 10 songs we were happy with, and it was a joy. I loved it.
Yeah, what about you, Kalem? Because you produced this record. What is your process like when it came to crafting the sound that Andrew would end up putting out for Unusual Miracles?
It was a little bit different than usual because Andrew finishes his songs. Andrew has the arrangements and stuff are pretty, they're pretty much there. So it was a little bit different that way. So it was about how to build them with instrumentation and stuff, as opposed to sort of, Andrew has the pre-production done basically before you go, and his songs are there. And it was just to give it a little bit of authenticity, a little bit of dirt in the gas, sort of to make it sort of real and a little dangerous but soothing. It's it's another, I still listen to that. Yeah. Because after you hear it 500 times when you're doing it, sometimes you can tire of it a little.
Yeah, because you got to go through certain mixes and the stuff just to figure out which one's the best.
Well, I mean, there's 10, 12 mix variations, back and forths and all that. So you're listening, and then mastering. So you listen to it an awful lot while you're doing it.
Oh yeah, who mastered this?
Justin Mertzwey.
Yeah,
Justin Mertzwey.
Yeah, and Scott Hammond mixed it, and Mertzwey mastered it. Yeah.
Yeah, Mertzwey, I've heard of his work because he's done some work with Donnie Love with his Avengers Unknown show, and that's really all I've.
Yes, he plays the metal guitar in the background. As,
oh, nice.
Well, I see that he did. There's at the end of, I think there was Donnie Love was doing. I think they were out with Skidoo, guys on Skidoos doing jumps on the West Coast or something. Then there was this crazy like guitar on the go or whatever.
I wonder who that is.
I know. And at the end of the credits, I see Justin Mertzwey, music for us. So I texted him right away. It was like, who was the wanker who played that metal solo during the Skidoo jumps or whatever? Right? He came back and said, "Ha, you saw that, didn't you?" I was like, "Yeah, way to go." Yeah.
But it goes to show how talented he is, Justin Mertzwey. Man. If you're out there, I want to get you on too in the new year.
Oh yeah, and you know what? He's got tons of stories, so I'd say that'd be a good.
Yes,
podcast.
And he put out JM FM this past year as well.
Yes.
Yeah, right. That's just, I know the guy's crazy. He's
we've done lots of stuff together, myself.
Yeah.
Well, he did your first album.
Yep.
Myself and Justin have worked on Janet Cull, Mike Hanrahan, Streel, Grace Shears, like a lot of albums over the
Wow.
Yes, he produced my first album, Ladies Lookout, from his basement in Gulf Avenue, which got engulfed by water at one point. Yeah. Got flooded out there too. Yes, you should get Justin in. He's got some stories.
Oh, for sure. Man. And I'm getting you guys in again to tell some more stories and stuff.
For sure.
Now, of course, Military Road, this song Erinspub Christmas, which we're going to play after this conversation here. Yeah. Will this turn into anything more than what you guys just recorded here? Is there going to be an album? Are you going to do like a small show here or there?
We're doing a show on December 14th at Erin's Pub, starting at 9 o'clock. So we'll do 2 one-hour sets, and that'll be kind of like a reunion and a release for the single. So, as far as doing an album or other songs, I'd be totally up for it.
Me too.
For sure.
Me too. It was great. It was great fun to do it, and it was fun too. The work was good, but it was it just felt easy.
It was easy.
It was fun. So I'd be all over doing some more for sure.
Now you've put out your album Unusual Miracles this past year. We were talking a bit off the air here before we started this. You're working on a few albums yourself, Kalem. So what are you working on?
Well, I just finished up an album for Grace Shears and a documentary. That's ongoing. There's going to be 5 more episodes of this documentary series called Finding Grace.
Yeah, because you worked on this well with Stephen Green and Brad Tuck of Center City.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And right in the middle of doing an new Alan Ricketts album right now, and Marquita Walsh, an album and a theater production that she's written. So Yeah, get going on.
That is wicked, guys. Now, of course, we're going to get to this song in just a moment, but for people who want to find out more about Kalem Mahoney and Andrew LeDrew and everything you guys are doing, where can we go when it comes to, say, socials and websites?
Well, I'll do updates and posts on social media, on Instagram and on Facebook. There's a Facebook page for Military Road. And my website, which, I mean, I probably got to literally go in with a broom and dust it off, but that's about it. I mean, if we do any more shows or any more promotion for the songs, personal accounts and stuff, yeah. So Military Road fan page on Facebook, and that's it.
And what about you, Kalem?
I have never been on social media ever.
Really?
No. No Facebook, no Twitter, no anything.
So you can just reach me, and then I'll ask him, and he'll tell me, and then I'll tell you.
Talk to my people.
I'll be his people.
Well, I think where we can find you is on liner credits for albums they produced, and you produce some killer albums, man.
Thank you very much.
Well, Andrew, Kalem, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Thank you for being my last guest of 2024, and this won't be your last time here. I may get you on individually, together again. Who knows? There are so much more great stories to tell, and thanks again for doing this, guys.
Yeah, no sweat.
Welcome,